You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the February 24th meeting of the LaPorte County Election Board Special Meeting. You can find more information for this meeting at www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Okay. I'm going to call this meeting to order. This is the LaPorte County Election Board. If you could please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Heather Stevens.
Present.
Jim McCalca.
Present.
And Brody Schaffner. I am present. Would make a motion to amend the agenda to remove reorganization of the board.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Are there any corrections to the minutes that need to be made? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. Now it's time for public comment.
Good morning. Tim Stabos, 1501 Michigan Avenue, LaPorte, Indiana. I understand the matter of Mr. Lake, the violations with regard to Republicans for Lake is on your agenda. I spoke with this at the last meeting this was discussed. I would just like to point out that John Lake was the elected prosecutor of LaPorte County at the time. And the notion of a prosecutor presenting the idea that that ignorance of the law is an excuse, it's not an excuse. We're all responsible to the law. I believe that a mistruth was told. The notion that a document sat on his desk or at his house and that the change was made and that was just forgotten to be brought in, I don't believe that. I personally believe that it was actually ignorance of the law and there was an oversight. I think it involves storytelling, and I think that if we expect members of the public to follow election law, but we don't sanction the prosecutor in whatever way you deem fit for a violation, and there's a story told around it to make it seem as innocent as possible, that undermines the rule of law in LaPorte County. I would urge you, in whatever way you deem fit, to sanction John Lake for his violation. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Mary Lake, resident of LaPorte County. I'm actually the subject of this complaint as well. The notion that because Mr. Stabos believes something, it must be true, has been the subject of quite a bit of disorder in this government in the last 2 years. And I hope this board doesn't tolerate that nonsense. Secondly, the fact is that the form that had to be filled out to make this change required a filing number and a date the committee was originally formed, and that took some time to look up. So John put the form aside with the intent of finding that information and simply did forget to file it. The change in our committee occurred when our daughter Maria took over. As of the date that statement was signed, that's what the law says. Filing is not the date it becomes effective. So the Election Commission confirmed that understanding of the law. It's accurate, and if you enforce the law, that's what you should do. Furthermore, one member of this board cannot vote or discuss this matter because she has an inherent conflict. The complainant is her husband. So, I mean, when the January 6th meeting occurred and there was a motion to table, she voted on that and she wasn't even supposed to vote on it. So I asked the board to enforce the law here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Rodney McCormick, 617 Union Street. We're again back at burden of proof and the presumption of innocence. Evidence is not something that someone says is something that wasn't done or that was done. You have a burden to prove it wasn't done. That's just for that sake of that conversation. I'm not here to apologize to the board, but I want the public to know I was not speaking my last time here. I was not speaking of any elected board member when I was here last time. I think some of you guys took it as if I was speaking about you. I was actually speaking about the leadership in the Democratic Party. Under the leadership of the Democratic Party, past and now present, I have been harassed to a degree that no other citizen should ever have to put up with. For over 54 years, I've been a loyal Democrat. I left the party because I continue to be harassed, called out of my name, and it's sad what's going on with the Democratic Party of LaPorte County. Not the county nation, just in the county with its leadership. Under the Democratic Party, we had dogs at the polling place, thanks to Ron Muir. Thanks to the Democratic Party under Ron Muir, I was arrested, took into jail because I exercised my right to speak. Here we had more false allegations by the new member, the new head of the Democratic Party. These individuals have done nothing to address the social ills in the black community, but they always take advantage of those opportunities to make money off the social ills of us in the black community. And that's what angers me so much. I'm glad that I have a chance to come before this board and speak. And I'm glad that you allow individuals to speak during other line items on the agenda. So please don't take my words as being a personal attack on you guys. The Republican Party has never done nothing to me. They continue to say that the Republican parties are the racists. They are the ones who don't like blacks. But since I've been here, all I've been getting is beat up by the Democrats. A party that I love for 54 years that don't love me. That's why I jumped ship. It's time to go. If you look at Michigan City, crime rate is high. It's ridiculously high. Violent crimes in the youth is terrible. There's no programs to address any of these issues with the young people. Historically low when it comes to finding activities for our youth. Playgrounds are under siege. Gun violence is everywhere. Our school system is failing. And I just want to say, I think Michigan City was incorporated in 1836. I may be wrong, but that's been a very long time. Over 130 years. And we continue to vote straight Democrat, we're going to go straight down the tubes and it's not going to come back. And thank you for allowing me to speak. It was a pleasure, and I will try to do better with making sure I speak about the persons I'm talking about. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Last call for public comment. Seeing none, we'll move on to old business. Discussion on lake complaints. I will move to untable that discussion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Say aye.
I'm opposed at this time, and I'd like to comment whenever you're finished making comment.
Now,
Asking the board to enforce the law. She can't vote on it.
now's the time.
Okay,
Now's the time for the discussion.
all right. So, although I wasn't on the board in 2022, my appointment became effective when I got sworn in 2023. However, I did have an opportunity, though, to review the earlier proceeding that came before this board on October 21st, 2022. At that time, there was the Republican president of the board was Charles or Chuck Watterson, and he went on record indicating that Ms. Stevens was recusing herself from the lake matter. And so in my opinion anyway, that was a statement I took to heart, and as part of the board here on the Democratic affiliation, I believe that issue ought to have been already closed and done. what I'd like to mention is this: is potentially in the complaint that was filed by Mr. Stevens, we have him as husband of Heather Stevens, who's the LaPorte Circuit Clerk. Mr. Stevens, in his complaint, obviously does reference, besides criminal referrals, also refers to potential civil penalties, monetary fines that may or could be imposed. And when you look at the authority for that, which is Indiana Code 3-9-4-17, when you look at the very last section of that, which is L, it does indicate proceedings of the county election board under this section are subject to 4-21.5. What that is, that throws us into an area under the title of Administrative Orders and Procedures, and more importantly, more specific, Chapter 3 under Adjudicative Proceedings. So when I say that word adjudicative, what I'm talking about is for purposes of allocating potential fines and that of that nature, we as a board become a tribunal, or as a collective body here, an administrative law judge is what is going on. And under the statute 4-21.5-3-9, subsection C, it says, if the administrative law judge assigned to the proceeding, in this case one of them is Ms. Stevens, and believes that the judge's impartiality might reasonably be questioned, or believes that the judge's personal bias, prejudice, or knowledge of a disputed evidentiary fact might influence the decision, the administrative law judge shall, one of the options listed is withdraw as the administrative law judge. So, and just to make a quick analogy here, let's just suppose for a moment Mr. Lake would have won that election last year, okay? So what would we have now? With the same fact situation, only thing changing is that he won the election. Now you'd have Mr. Schaffner sitting up here as president of the board and having to rule on his boss, who would have been Mr. Lake, as Mr. Schaffner is the deputy prosecutor. He would have to be fearing retribution from Mr. Lake if he were to assess a fine or referral for any other type of thing. And so what we have, and the law does provide for, and thank God it does, it provides for what's called a proxy, okay? And a proxy comes under Indiana Code 3-6-5-4.5. And what a proxy says is a member may appoint an individual to serve as a proxy of record in the member's place as a member of the county election board by filing a written instrument approving the proxy of record with the circuit court clerk. And the proxy may vote in the same way as, or has the authority to vote as would the original member. So, in my hypothetical, whether it would have been Mr. Schaffner had Mr. Lake won the election, or in this case, as it factually exists, that the clerk is married to the chairman who filed the complaint, I think it's appropriate that, in fact, that as I quoted under the earlier statute, that she withdraw from this particular issue and designate a proxy, that all she would need to do is file that with her clerk's office. And my suggestion would be probably if she were to do that, that she wouldn't choose one of her own deputies, but designate someone else, because I think it's important when we're acting as a tribunal, and we are when you're talking about assessing civil penalties, that we have the appearance of impartiality as much as we can. So I guess at this very point, besides getting to the merits of the complaint, at this particular time, you know, I would move that that we further table this matter, and that a proxy be designated by Ms. Stevens, and then we'll go from there. So that's my motion at this time.
So I have a question for you regarding that. Mr. Stevens filed and I understand that the statute refers to administrative law. I had concerns about that. I tried to call the election division downstate, but I never got my phone call returned. But Mr. Stevens filed a candidate challenge for the last meeting. Ms. Stevens, there was no objection to rule on that. Is your point to say that she is prohibited from ever deciding on a challenge filed by Mr. Stevens?
No.
I don't understand your position.
No. I'm not saying that, and I thought about that. What I'm getting at is you invoke a tribunal and impartiality when you're dealing with levying fines as civil penalties in accordance with Section L under 39417, because that puts you under then as far as administrative orders and procedures and adjudicative proceedings. So I'm not saying on a candidate challenge, because part of that form does call either a party chairman to file that type of thing. So I'm not saying it would apply to that. I'm saying it applies whenever you're going to deal with potential civil penalties or referrals. Now you've invoked Section L under 39417, and that's where I think impartiality is critical.
So you're saying it's only related to this statute?
Yes.
Okay. Any discussion?
Yes, I actually have contacted Brad King at the Indiana Election Division about this. And according to Brad, there is no issue here. I have every right as a voting member of this board. Unfortunately, Mr. Stevens is the Republican Party chairman, and he is also my husband. If you have ever been in my home or been on the phone with us, you know that I will hold my own. Mr. Stevens does not speak for me. He never has, he never will. And by hindering my ability to do my job right now, you're going to set the precedent for me for the rest of my term. And I'm here to say no. I fully intend to vote.
And I think Mr. Schaffner had the right distinction that he made when he asked me that question. We're not indicating on every single proceeding that Mr. Stevens is involved that you recuse yourself. It's just that this statute says when you begin to talk about punishment or civil fines and penalties, you do come under the heading of it. We are, as a collective body, an administrative law judge or tribunal that needs to show impartiality. So for those limited circumstances, I'm indicating that, and I made a motion, and maybe I'll get a second, maybe I won't, looking to table this lake issue until a proxy can be designated by Ms. Stevens. That's my motion.
I'm gonna cut in the middle, because my concern is that we're gonna make a decision here today. Let's say I go against you and we untable it, we decide on a fine, whatever. My concern is, for appellate reasons, it'll just get overturned and we'll be right back here. So I need guidance. I know you talked to Brad King, but I need written guidance.
And that's fine.
I would feel more comfortable.
But I also think that the same could be said that Mr. Schaffner is appointed by the Republican Party chair. So to me, it's no different. You would have the same conflict of interest that I do.
But you see the conflict in the hypothetical I presented. If Mr. Lake would have won the election, would you expect Mr. Schaffner to sit here and adjudicate against his boss? That's the reason why that statute has Section L in it. So Mr. Schaffner would hopefully then designate a proxy to sit in his place.
But I think we can go further, because Mr. McKelka is appointed by the Democrat Party chair. So no matter, I mean, we would all three. I mean, obviously, by not finding the lakes, or by finding the lakes, we're making decisions that are going to affect one party or the other. So we should all three have written proxies. Or we can be adults and we can do our jobs.
Okay.
Now that it's under discussion, may I speak, since I'm the subject of the complaint?
We don't have public comment on this one. So I'm going to move to amend your motion to amend the first motion. We're still in order here. To table the discussion in order to receive guidance from the election division on how to proceed.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The discussion on the late complaint stays on the table. Ms. Stevens, do you want to reach out? I did not have success last time.
Yes.
Okay. And maybe we should get guidance on all of us.
Yep.
You brought up a good point about that. And I'm sorry, I was caught off guard. Okay, moving on to new business. Reading of the list of the 2023 municipal candidates. For the city of LaPorte, the mayor of LaPorte, Ron Zimmer. This is for the Democratic ballot. LaPorte City Clerk Treasurer, no candidate filed. LaPorte City Common Council Member at Large, no candidate filed. LaPorte City Common Council Member Ward 1, no candidate filed. LaPorte City Common Council Member Ward 2, no candidate filed. LaPorte City Common Council Member Ward 3, no candidate filed. LaPorte City Common Council Member Ward 4, no candidate filed. LaPorte City Common Council Member Ward 5, Joseph Joe Merzinski. City of Michigan City, Mayor of Michigan City, Dwayne Perry. Michigan City Clerk, no candidate filed. Michigan City Common Council Member at Large, Elizabeth Liz Bergeron and Jason Stratton. Michigan City Common Council Member Ward 1, no candidate filed. Michigan City Common Council Member Ward 2, John Haynes. Michigan City Common Council Member Ward 3, no candidate filed. Michigan City Common Council Member Ward 4, no candidate filed. Michigan City Common Council Member Ward 5, no candidate filed. Michigan City Common Council Member Ward 6, Socrates T. Gray. It should be Socrates. Was that the Republican? Democrat?
Yes.
Republican?
They don't have that listed on every page, but
Okay.
yes.
So this is Republicans?
Yep.
Okay, I was gonna say, I thought Bergeron was a Republican. So that was the Republican list for City of Michigan City. The Democrat list, Mayor of Michigan City, Angie Nelson Deutsch, Michael Mack, Ron Meir, Johnny Stimley, Mark Yagelski. Michigan City Clerk, Gail Newlib. Michigan City Common Council Member at Large, Tim Beatree, Bryant Dabney, Vidya Cora, Don Prisbalinski. Michigan City Common Council Member Ward 1, Greg Coulter, and Rodney McCormick. Michigan City Common Council Member Ward 2, Daisy Lee, and Paul Prisbalinski. I did it right the first time. Michigan City Common Council Member Ward 3, Agnes Meir, and Joseph S. Nelson. Michigan City Common Council Member Ward 4, Katrina Davis, and Sean Fitzpatrick. Michigan City Common Council Member Ward 5, Tracy Tillman. Michigan City Common Council Member Ward 6, Nancy Moldenauer. For the City of LaPorte Republican ballot, Mayor of LaPorte, Tom Dermody. LaPorte City Clerk Treasurer, Courtney Parthun. LaPorte City Common Council Member at Large, Tim Frankie and Lauren Huffman and Evan Wooding. LaPorte City Common Council Member Ward 1, Julie West. LaPorte City Common Council Member Ward 2, Carol Machick Ficus. LaPorte City Common Council Member Ward 3, Drew Buchanan. LaPorte City Common Council Member Ward 4, Roger Galloway. LaPorte City Common Council Member Ward 5, Laura Konechny and Larry Pinkerton. Town of Kingsford Heights, Democrat. Kingsford Heights Clerk Treasurer, no candidate filed. Kingsford Heights Town Council Member Ward 1, Brian Nurnberg. Kingsford Heights Town Council Member Ward 2, Dwayne Arndt and Carrie Moss. Kingsford Heights Town Council Member Ward 3, Dennis Francis. Kingsford Heights Town Council Member Ward 4, Joe Atkinson and Gina Blake. Kingsford Heights Town Council Member Ward 5, Evelyn Ballinger. For the Republicans on the Town of Kingsford Heights, for the Clerk Treasurer, no candidate filed. Town Council Member Ward 1, no candidate filed. Town Council Member Ward 2, no candidate filed. Town Council Member Ward 3, Lori Enox. Town Council Member Ward 4, no candidate filed. Town Council Member Ward 5, no candidate filed. And that completes the reading of the 2023 municipal candidates and the new business. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned.